You know, buying a car, it's supposed to be this amazing moment, right? But for way too many people, it ends up being a total financial nightmare. So today we're going to pull back the curtain, we're going to look at real stories and break down the biggest, most expensive mistakes you can make, the kind of traps that can bury you in debt for years.
Okay, so let's dive right in. And we're not even starting with a bad decision, we're starting with a question, a real question a car salesman was actually asked. Get this, can I make payments on the down payment? I mean, just let that sink in. That one question, it tells you everything. It's a huge sign that a deal is completely doomed before it even begins.
So you gotta ask, why is that question such a massive blinking red flag? Well, it's pretty simple, right? If you can't even afford the very first step, the down payment, it means you're trying to force something that just doesn't fit. You're trying to jam a square peg into a round financial hole. And that, well, that leads us right into our first big trap.
All right, Section 1, a deal that's forced and the down payment dilemma. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It's what happens when you try to twist your budget into a pretzel to fit a car, instead of doing it the other way around, finding a car that actually fits your budget.
So let's break down why this layaway idea for a down payment just doesn't work. I mean, the logic is super simple. If you're already short before the payments even begin, how in the world are you going to make the payments after they start? Plus, there are practical reasons. A dealer isn't going to hold a car for you for weeks while you save up because a bank's approval is only good for about 30 days. But here's the real kicker. A lack of a down payment basically screams that you have no financial safety net. None. So what happens when you need new tires or something breaks? It shows the whole deal is just not sustainable.
And you know that feeling of desperation, of trying to force a deal? It leads people right into our next big trap, the 29% interest trap. This is all about the real cost of a low credit score. See, when you're what they call a subprime buyer, lenders look at you and they just see risk. And guess what? They make you pay for that risk, big time. They build it right into your loan, and it can turn a car that seems affordable into an absolute monster of a payment.
Okay, so let's look at a real-life example. Here's the profile. We're talking about someone with a credit score down in the 500s. And to top it off, they have a recent repossession on their record. I mean, to a bank, that profile isn't just a red flag. It's a giant, flashing neon sign that says high risk.
And so, here's the number the bank came back with. The interest rate they approved. Are you ready for this? 28.99%. That is unbelievable. We're not talking 5%, not 10%. We're talking almost 30%. An interest rate that high, it makes it nearly impossible to ever get ahead on the loan. You're basically just running on a treadmill, paying off interest forever.
So let's break down what this actually looks like. For this 2022 Sonata, the buyer scraped together almost $3,000 for a down payment. And even with that, they were staring down the barrel of a $493 monthly payment. For 66 months, that's 5.5 years of nearly $500 a month.
And here it is. This is the trap in black and white. The car's value is around $19,000. But when you do the math, that $493 payment for 66 months, plus the down payment, the total amount paid comes out to around $35,000. They are paying almost double what the car is actually worth, all because of that insane interest rate.
Okay, so high interest is a huge problem. But it's not the only one. Sometimes the trap is just a shocking lack of financial literacy, a basic fundamental misunderstanding of how a loan even works. And that brings us to our next section, which is just bizarre. But you'd be surprised how often this comes up.
So get this story. A guy is trying to sell his used Honda Civic. Privately. Okay, normal enough. But he wants $60,000 for it. A car that's maybe worth half that. And his reason? His logic was that the new buyer should pay for the rest of his loan, plus all the future interest he was supposed to pay over the next few years. He literally wanted the next guy to pay for interest that hadn't even happened yet.
I mean, the only response to that is, that's not how loans work. It's just flat out wrong, and it really shows you this huge gap in financial literacy out there. Think about it. People are signing on the dotted line for tens of thousands of dollars, and they don't even understand the absolute basics of the contract they're signing.
So here's the key thing this seller was missing. Most car loans are what you call open loans. It's a pretty simple idea. It just means when you sell the car or pay off the loan early, you only have to pay back the principal you still owe, the actual money you borrowed for the car itself. You do not pay for future interest. That interest hasn't even accrued yet. It's like the interest clock just stops. You don't pay for the time you didn't use. Simple as that.
Okay, this leads us to our final story. And honestly, this might be the most dangerous one of all. It's about when a car payment, even one that starts out as a gift, is just completely out of sync with your income.
So here's the situation. We've got a full-time student. His parents bought him a car, which is an amazing gift, right? But then he gets married, he moves out, and his parents drop a bombshell on him. They say, hey, it's your turn to take over the $470 a month car payment. And just like that, this gift turns into a massive crushing debt.
And when you just look at the raw numbers, it's brutal. Okay, so his income is $1,700 a month. Let's subtract his rent. That's $1,000 gone right there. Now let's subtract the car payment, another $470. What's left over for everything else? $230. That's for food, gas, utilities, his phone bill, everything. It's not just a tight squeeze, it's completely impossible.
So the advice he got was really blunt, but it was absolutely the right advice. He was told, if you take over this car, it's going to get repoed, period. Taking on that debt would have been financial suicide. There was just no way it could end well. A repossession was basically guaranteed, and that would have absolutely wrecked his credit for years to come.
Okay, so this brings us to the big takeaway from all these stories. It's not really about a specific Sonata or Civic, or even a specific interest rate. It's about something much, much bigger. It's about protecting your entire financial future.
And here's the bottom line. The one thing you need to remember. It's much easier to hand back the keys now than it is to spend years trying to recover from a bad financial decision. Sometimes walking away from a deal is the strongest financial move you can make. Whether that means saying no to a dealer or giving the keys back to your parents, making that tough call today is 1,000 times easier than digging yourself out of a financial hole for the next 5, 6, or 7 years.
So I want to leave you with this one question. Before you even think about signing a piece of paper for a car, ask yourself, is the car you want worth the future you're trading for it? Because remember, when you sign up for a bad car loan, you're not just buying a car. You might just be selling your financial freedom.